Well, what's going on, social media, family and friends? Once again, it's on this 23rd day of August, as this month has almost just turned into a vapor. It just disappeared into the wind. It is another Wellness Wednesday with my good friend Edward J. Brown from Positive Choices Counseling Service, where a healthy you is
There's
a
a better
better
you.
you. And we're
Yes,
in the
sir.
building to talk about your mental health. Why? Because your mental health matters. So tell a friend to tell a friend, share this with a friend. We are here for 1 hour, as we are every Wednesday, to talk about the issues that affect your mental health. And look, a lot is affecting our mental health. If you turn
Woo.
around, you've got elections coming up, you've got
Mm,
violence everywhere, you've got
mm,
people getting evicted out their houses in Pittsburgh and
mm.
shootouts in the community. You've got people everywhere doing something somewhere to somebody, saying something that's got you saying, what in the hell is
Hey,
going on?
and
So
then you got that thing that none of us can escape, the
right,
heat.
the heat. The
The
heat definitely
heat.
got you saying, man, what's really happening?
What's going
So
on, bro?
man, I'm doing well. How you doing, my friend?
Man, I'm hanging in there. Look, I look at the weather, and they told us Wednesday and Thursday the high gonna be 107, something
Whoo.
like. And I'm like, what's really going on, man? I mean, what's starting all this? So, I mean, at this point today, I'm just trying to stay cool. You
That's
know,
it.
we
That's
try to
it.
keep
That's
it
it.
cool. A cooler head will prevail
Yes,
because
sir.
things are going crazy in this heat, man. What's
Well,
going
tonight
on
is
down
the
there in Lafayette, man?
Well, man, tonight is the first night of the Republican debates. As you
Okay.
all know, if you've been watching any part of the news, folks are turning themselves in Atlanta, Georgia, and Fulton County, left and right. And tomorrow, the big kahuna will turn himself in to get fingerprinted, snapshot, and all that good stuff weighed in. But it's so much going on, and the heat is just everywhere. And once again, for folks to say that there is no climate change, I don't understand how you can say that when I haven't had to mow my yard in about a month because it's just not growing because there's no
There's
water
no water.
hitting it. I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah.
saying. And then
And
you got
mine is all
places,
brown. Everything
right?
is brown.
And you got places that you normally wouldn't even expect bad weather to hit. Like I don't think they've had a hurricane or a tropical storm in there is a song that says it never rains in
In
Southern
Southern
California.
California. Yeah, yeah.
But they got flooding, mudslides, landslides, all kind of stuff going on because they had a tropical depression that was a hurricane named Hillary that passed through there. So, family, these days and times, what you don't expect it. And that plays with your mental health, your mental mind. It
Yeah,
makes you say, man, what in the
yeah,
world is going on?
yeah.
And I don't know what to say or what to say
Well,
about it, but all I can say is thank God that I woke up this morning with the opportunity to see the light of another new day because a lot of folks did not have that opportunity. And
there we go.
and we just need to start, being mindful. School has started back, and
School has
Lord knows
started. Yeah.
I'm seeing places where they're having school fights. They're having not
Yeah.
enough bus drivers. People are having to
Hmm.
take the day off from school because
Getting,
they can't
getting
get the
paid
kids
to
to
take your
school.
children to school. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, all of this is definitely a mental strain. So, as we always do about this time, since I'm not the expert, I'm just kind of like the hype man of the show. We turn it over to my good friend
Hey,
Edward J. Brown from Positive
mm.
Choices as we talk about mental health. Edward, the floor is yours.
Hey, man, it's good to be back. It's good to see my brother doing well, and with everything that's going on, I had a conversation today that made me say this is definitely something that we need to address
Come on,
on the podcast.
come on.
And this was a young brother that came to me, and he was at the end of his rope.
Mm.
He didn't know what to do because he's in a marriage
Oh Lord,
and he and his wife are not together at the time
oh Lord.
because his economic econ, his socioeconomic situation has kind of changed.
Mm.
He stopped doing one job to chase entrepreneurship.
Okay.
So his income changed.
Oh,
Well, he said during that time the type of treatment he began to receive from his spouse was just disrespectful. She talked to him.
Wait a minute, because his income changed?
Yeah, he was at home working on his entrepreneurial dream. So she started to say very derogatory things, started to be very belittling, and it created major tension in the house. Well,
So wait a minute, brother. But before you go
okay,
any further, brother Brown,
okay,
I
okay.
just want to make sure that you said these folks, they not dating, they married, right?
No, they're married. Yeah, they're married.
Okay, so somewhere I recall, I don't know. I think I've taken wedding vows before. I think somewhere they said for richer, for poor, for better, for worse, to death do you part. I think I remember hearing that somewhere in the vows.
Yeah, it
Uh,
sounds
uh,
pretty familiar. Yeah.
all right, so I'll let you
Okay.
keep going.
All right. So at this point, the belittling, the talking down, and just basically making him feel really, really, really unappreciated, unwelcomed, and just disrespected. So conflict went through the roof. They started to argue constantly, and he said the relationship actually got toxic. Well, what ended up happening was he decided to choose his marriage over himself.
Okay.
And I'm paraphrasing. He
Okay.
said, so as the arguments would occur, my response became, okay. My response became, okay, I'm sorry. Whatever it was they're angry about, I'm sorry. And he said, instead of that making the situation better, it made the situation worse. Because now he's weak. You're weak. You're not what I thought you were. You're constantly apologizing. You're constantly saying you're sorry. And I thought about this as our topic for today. What happens when you do what's best for the whole and you still get ridiculed? You get treated as though you're unappreciated, and it just does not work out in your favor.
Wow.
Yeah. What do you do? Well, how do you feel? How do you deal with those feelings? You do what you feel is right, and what you feel is right still gets turned around in a negative manner.
You know, and I think somewhere we have to ask the question, and I'm just going to say this, somewhere we have to ask the question, do we really understand the roles of husband and wife, and how does a marriage function? See, what I'm starting to discover as I go back and look at some of our Wellness Wednesdays.
What you're getting ready to do is open up a can of worms.
No, I'm just asking a simple question, and I want people to respond because I don't have all the answers, and I don't, and I know, and I'm not trying to open up a can of worms, but I just want to help somebody because somebody out there might be in this situation. You know, sadly, you read stuff like women are supposed to respect and honor, and they're supposed to uplift and do this, that, these, and those, and men are supposed to protect, provide, and certain things. But here's my question. I know that we hear about traditional marriages and what's supposed to occur, but here's my question. What are you supposed to do to make your marriage work? Learn your spouse, know what the rules and the regulations is, because what works for one may not work for all. Correct. So I'm just wondering, why are people not, and furthermore, let's just say this. I hope this young man had a discussion with his wife before he decided to go and pursue the entrepreneurship. There has to be some communication. Two things we need to really start talking about on this podcast is communication and behavior. Communication and behavior. Because guess what? Many a times our problems stem from lack of communication and behavior that is off the chain, or expectations that are unreal. You know, too many times we watch social media and we say, that's how I'm supposed to be living, not understanding that's not real. That's just a skit.
We have to, when you say things like traditional, we are no longer living in a traditional society based on standards of, let's say, what, 10 years ago,
Right.
20 years
Right.
ago.
Right.
Things have changed. So
Right.
now when we start talking about the institution of marriage is still technically the same. It's two individuals going before God and getting a license, and you become legally and spiritually connected till death do you part. That's fine.
Correct.
That's not changed. What has changed is the roles that we look at traditionally. Okay? That's what we're looking at. Like you just said, the woman is supposed to be the caretaker, the uplifting, the nurturer. The man's supposed to be the provider and the protector. Now
in a traditional setting, because everybody might not see it that way.
Let's say 25 years ago marriage. Okay, a tradition. So now you get, well, I can protect myself. I go to the gun range, I take Pilates and Taekwondo, whatever. I can protect myself. Brothers are saying, well, I can cook for myself. I can nurture I'm a single father. I know how to nurture my daughter. I know how to nurture my son. I don't need a woman. We have gotten to the point, and now you're talking to me as a clinician. So I'm putting it out there what I believe. What we've gotten to over the past 25 years is we've gotten so caught up in the roles that we lost the connection that's required. We got caught up in,
I like that.
I can cook for myself, I can clean for myself, I can, and I'm like, so is that all a wife does for you? Well, I make my own money. I don't need nobody. I got a gun. I carry my purse. I can provide and protect for myself. Is that all a husband does for you? So what we've gotten away from is the connection required to make that till death do us part, for better or worse, rich or poor. We that required a level of connectivity from man to woman that has kind of diminished over the past 25 years.
Correct.
Marriage is now a business arrangement.
Come on, an agreement.
It is now let's do what we feel is beneficial, and we both will benefit equally, by the way, and we will be a power couple. Okay? Not thinking what's going to happen if during this power journey we're on, one of us gets sick.
Right.
What transpires if, due to our economic condition in this country, one of us lose our job? Because now that connection, and I had another conversation today that was very interesting where I said, how long should a person wait before you ask them to marry?
Wow. Now that is a question. Funny that you say that. Somebody just sent that message. Ask that question. How long should one wait?
And the person that I was talking to said, well, I believe after 3 years, you should pretty much know that that's the person you want to be with or not. So I say 3 years. And then I have other people that think 3 years is nothing. 3 years will fly by like that. But what I think we have to talk about is that overwhelming sense of, what do I do when I feel no matter what I've done, no matter how great the intentions, it is not received in a positive light?
Wow.
He said, in order to not argue, my response every time an argument started was, you know what, I'm sorry. If I did anything, I'm sorry. He said 2 months of that, you know what, you're just weak. I didn't know you were so weak. If I had known you, he said, I'm not weak. I just don't want to argue with you in front of, the twins.
The children.
That's and
commendable.
He seems to be at his wit's end. Well, what do I do? What do I
do? I had to give him a round of applause for that.
Yeah, I thought he deserved to be, so we got to the point where I wanted him, and I think people who watch this podcast, we need to know some things. Number one, you should not do things solely for the purpose of another person's approval.
Right.
If you do that, you set yourself up to be disappointed, to feel unappreciated. And here's what I mean by that. Brother Dupree, you my brother. If I call you and I say, you know what, brother? I love you, man. I am not telling you I love you for you to tell me you love me back. I'm telling you
Correct.
I love you for information purposes. I need you to know.
Correct.
You understand? So if you say it, oh, I love you too, brother, then it's lanyard. But if you don't,
right,
that was not my purpose.
Correct.
For telling you that. My purpose of telling you that was so that you now know. And when I told him that, he kind of looked and he said, I never really thought about that. When you said, I'm sorry, it wasn't because you were sorry. It was because you were trying to please her and not argue.
Mm. You thought so that was you were looking to get her to a place where she did not want to be confrontational with you.
Correct. And it didn't work. It did not work. So as we watch this podcast and as we participate in this podcast, we every day deal with people who do not appreciate the efforts that we put in to trying to make situations better. And it becomes overwhelming from time to time.
Correct.
And now, we're talking about that from an adult perspective. Imagine the mental strain if you're not an adult, if you're a child.
Right.
And now here you are trying to be this person. I see mommy and daddy, and and now I'm trying to be this good kid. And every time I do a good kid, it's like, go sit down, just get out of the way, because we're dealing with the struggles of the world every day, and sometimes we bring it home.
Mm.
Today, I want us to pay attention to why and what we do in order to make people accept us.
Wow.
Because we find ourselves doing things that still does not give us that acceptance or that acknowledgement that we're seeking.
Mm.
Now, he's doing it for the acceptance and the betterment in his mind of his family.
Correct.
But we have people today that's mutilating, and that's my term, mutilating themselves for acceptance. They're getting lip injections. They're getting BBLs.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then when you don't get the looks and the head turns that you want, now you're feeling suicidal. You're feeling less, I did all of this for naught, so let me keep trying. I said I was going to talk about what these type of situations create in us, and then the second half of the hour, talk about what we would do to make that situation better.
Come on, talk on it. Speak on it, Doc.
All right. So as we look at, I said this in a couple of other podcasts. You cannot give people control of your thermostat.
Mm-hmm.
If you give people control of your thermostat, then they can make you hot when you're cold.
Right.
They can make you cold when you're hot. We have to pay attention to what we do and not be reactive.
Right. Correct.
We are very reactive. And
correct.
I asked the brother, I said, what happens when she told you was weak? He said, I went ballistic. He said, because now I felt the need to prove to her that I wasn't weak. And I asked him, did you feel weak prior to her telling you that? No. She took your thermostat and turned it all the way to hot.
So let me ask that question,
Sure.
because something that I'm seeing a great deal of these days is people seeming to be, and sometimes I ask myself, is this all for social media? You see folks that are lovey-dovey. You see folks that seem to be just completely ecstatic that they're
Mhm,
about to get married. Then they get married and they stay married for a month, 2 months,
mhm.
3 months, maybe a week. And then you hear these stories about why they decided not to stay married. And you ask yourself, did these individuals not see this coming before they got married? Or did an individual mask? Or did you literally date, meet, and get engaged with an individual's representative and not the real them? I'm just
Well,
asking.
well, sometimes we are very optimistic as individuals, and we believe that if I do this, then they will do that. So if
Hmm.
right now he's not attentive, but if I become his wife, he'll be very attentive to me. She's not very affectionate, but if we get married, all of a sudden she'll be, running around the house butt naked, super affectionate.
Okay.
And it's very funny you say that, because I saw a therapist one time. She said, "Did you marry the person you're married to, or did you marry their representative?"
Hmm.
And that goes exactly to what you said. So what I believe is that once you set forth your expectations,
Come on.
okay, this is what I expect. The relationship part follows that. If these are
Okay.
your expectations, the relationships that we deem successful are the ones where expectations are being met.
Hmm.
The relationships
Okay.
that seem to struggle and hit speed bumps are the ones where expectations are doing what? Falling short.
So in other words, you need to make it crystal clear what you want, what you need, and what you desire. And you need to ask the other individual, can you provide what I've just said I needed?
Now, that's equally as important as the other person being extremely honest and say, yes, I can do that. No, I can't do that.
Right.
That's equally as important, because if you say, yes, I can, then we both put a check by that on our list.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, we are talking strictly for anyone that wants to come for me or come after me in this podcast. Understand this. Let me give a disclaimer.
Give it.
We are talking strictly from a behavioral perspective,
Come on.
not a spiritual perspective.
Come on,
Because
because
somebody's gonna say,
I got some Bible thumpers. I hear them.
I was
I hear
about to
them.
say,
They
somebody's gonna say,
grab
well, if
they
people
grabbing
put,
they grabbing
if people
scriptures.
put the Bible first, and if
They
they put the
grabbing
Lord
scriptures
first,
right now.
yeah, if they put the Lord first, then their marriage will be, you know what? I know some pastors that's divorced.
Right. Hold on. Say that
Right?
again.
I'm just saying, I'm not saying that
No.
it's
Say
not
that
about
again. Say that
spirituality.
again, because I have to do something. Say that again. Say it.
I
Say it.
know some pastors who are divorced.
Okay, hold
So,
on. So I'm about to check mark them right there, and I got to say this. Listen, family, for all my good spiritual folks out there, and better yet, even my religious and Bible thumpers, I want to say this to y'all. Understand this. You got to be real, because if you worship who you say you worship, he everywhere, all the time, and he sees and knows everything you're doing. So guess what, baby? You ain't got to leave out of town. Go out of town on a cruise or go out of town on a vacation and get buck wild and then come back home and act like you the most holiest person on the planet, because that's very hypocritical. And that's what a lot of Christians do. And that's why it's hard to get folks to trust folk who are in church. That's why church hurt is so serious, because while you're in your local community around the folks that see you, you one way, but then you leave and go out of town for a 2-week vacation. And if somebody catches you on that 2-week vacation, you acting like you a heathen, because there's nobody around you who know you. So now you can cut loose. No, be the same Christian, 24/7, 365, and understand, be human. Being Christian don't mean you're perfect. It just means that you believe in Christ and you're trying to be Christ-like. Back to my brother Edward.
All
Keep
right.
it
So
flowing
I
and
just
going.
wanted to give that disclaimer that I am a true believer that marriage is a spiritual institution and is embedded in the belief and the blessings and the grace and mercy of God. I believe that. I am also a therapist. And I also know that behavior impacts the success. Now, yes, you can always go to God and you can always pray and ask God to fix things. But God gives us the knowledge and the wisdom to fix some things for ourselves as well. So as we get back to the expectations within a relationship. So now we're saying, okay, I understand what you expect. And now this, and this I can do. This I can't. And this one I can't. So now you're stuck with the decision. Can I live with the fact that they can't do these two, but they can do these three?
Can you compromise?
They're right. They're being honest with you.
Come on.
So now, unfortunately, what we have, especially in today's society, we have some very unrealistic expectations because we're dealing with different generations. You know, there's these old songs, man, these that talk about, you know, what you do if you're having trouble in your relationships, and people with the song say people used to throw some food together and invite you over and say, don't blame Mr. Charlie. You know, Mr. Charlie is just a man.
Come on.
But the point of the song was people did not celebrate the destruction of marriage. They didn't celebrate people's misfortune. You know, and what we have in today's society is we have these expectations that are just not realistic because they're growing up overindulged. They're growing up with you know, distorted, you know, views of what the real world is like. So now they go into a marriage where we're going to go up against the world, which is full of ups and downs, hardships, and then it's also full of joy and pleasure as well.
Now I had to raise my hand because you and I, we grew up on slow dancing. You know, most of us maybe met the one we fell in love with, our significant other, the one that we decided to make children with during some slow music. These days they got Sookie and Sexy Red and you know, they're talking about switch.
I'm just divorce. Right. There's divorce parties. Literally people have divorce parties. Literally.
That's what Miss Carolyn Brown just said. Divorce parties. Come on, speak on.
There's literally people who have divorce parties. So now let's look at it like this. Do you remember when music and we're talking about the difference in ideology of today being together and in the past? The music was more about love. Where is today's Luther? Okay. Where is today's Phyllis Hyman, or Anita Baker, or Angela Bofield, what's the little Stephanie Mills? Where's today? Okay, I love me some India.Arie. One of the best songwriters.
They have some songs. They have some songs talking about taking folks to Pound Town.
Now, we got a song about WAP. You know, we got the WAP.
So here's my question, and I hate to go there. Hold on. I hate to go there. Somebody said, put your face back on the thing since you're going to talk like that. You know, the truth about the matter is times have changed. People have changed.
We're not disputing that.
What we need to understand, though, what we are trying to do is how do we maintain and sustain good relationships that are fair, equal, honest, not perfect, but where individuals say, when I fall in love with you, I don't have to, at the end of the day, go through 5, 6, 7, 8 partners because we didn't have a clear understanding. It's like these days and times, everybody literally feels like A relationship ain't built to last.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's really not that it's not built to last, but it's kind of like we talk about in our discussions about suicide. Times was
Come on.
hard. We talked about bullying. We said,
Mm-hmm.
well, you fight, you run. If you run, you're gonna always run. When did it become
Mm-hmm.
you fight, you run, or you commit suicide? Okay, that's the same thing with relationships.
Come
We
on.
go into it saying, well, if this don't work, we'll just get a divorce.
Right.
The
The easy way out.
We go into it with the ideology that this don't have to work with me because we can always get a divorce.
Right.
We can always go our separate ways. We don't have to be together.
Right.
And that's kind of different from the way things were 30 years ago. You know, and I keep using the song, so I'm gonna use Mr. Charlie. You know, if Mr. Charlie went out there and had an outside offspring, Miss Charlie was like, that ain't that baby fault that you out there homongering.
Right.
So that baby is gonna know these babies.
Or let's just call it like it is, vice versa. If Miss Charlie winds up with a child and you say, "What, that child don't look like me."
Mr. Charlie was like, you know what? See you, and he called you a bad word, then he took care of that child.
Right.
So where and what has transpired that we allow so much to change to where now, because I made a comment about 2 years ago. I'm literally getting ready to say, I give marriage another 20 years, and then it's going to be obsolete.
Wow. Hold up.
Yeah.
Now explain to me that, because, hey, I am starting to see some things. You see a lot of very eligible bachelorettes that especially women outnumber men. So let's just call it like it is. And any woman who wants to comment on this can say what they want. You know, it used to be a time, and you and I both know that women were the prize and the commodity. Now women completely outnumber men. All you got to do is go to your local high school or university and walk into a classroom, count how many women you see in the classroom and how many young men you see in the classroom. And it's normally either 3 to 1, 4 to 1, if not higher.
Absolutely. So think about this. We're looking at now, and I'm only speaking for me. So if anybody needs to come for anybody, don't come from Brother Dupree, come for me. I said, I see marriage being obsolete in the next 20 years because we're already dealing with the change in the concept of marriage now. So if you don't think that, let me give you a little bit of why I think this way. We are now in the area of women can marry women. Men can marry men.
Right.
It's changed already. So what I'm saying is that marriage will no longer be necessary for people to show their absolute commitment to the ideology of love, because that's what it is. God is love. Okay, so men and women will no longer need marriage as a symbol of their commitment to love / God.
Come on.
They won't.
That was deep. That was deep.
And I believe that when we get to that point, you know, we'll say, well, you know what? I ain't calling you my husband. I ain't calling you my wife. You are my huckabuck. I don't know,
my
whatever.
Partner.
My partner, whatever, you know.
Right.
And so, you know, my thing is that we get to this point in our lives because we are in a socially fragmented society.
Wow.
You know, everybody has defined it their own personal way.
Right.
You know, it's no one universal definition anymore because we don't even have a universal definition of man and woman.
Correct.
We don't have a universal definition of female male.
Come on, speak on it.
So I'm only drawing,
because you can be born a male and say I identify as a female, and guess how you have to be addressed?
Yeah, as a female.
You can be born a female and say I identify as a male, and guess how you have to be addressed?
So
as a male.
This right here, these gray hairs, every last one of them give me the right to say whatever I want to say. So if you I don't have a problem with what you feel. I don't have an issue with how you feel.
Come on.
You feel like a woman trapped in a man's body. I have no problem with that. You feel like a man trapped in a woman's body. I have no problem with that. What I have a problem with is if my granddaughter is in the bathroom and you walk in there and you whip out a pecker. That bothers me.
Houston?
I have a problem with my granddaughter being in the bathroom with somebody that's standing up to pee.
So Houston, right. So okay. Let me ask this. This, Doc, and I have to ask this. So I found out that animals don't pay taxes. So if I waddle and say that I identify as a penguin, I wonder, can I go to the IRS and say, wait a minute, before y'all hit me like y'all about to hit me, I identify not as a human being, but as a penguin. And penguins don't pay tax. These days and times, it is, listen, and I'm not trying to make no fun of nobody. I'm just trying to be real.
I thought I was going to get in trouble, man. You don't get in trouble, man.
I'm just trying to be real with y'all because at the end of the day, now I said this 2 days ago, and it's funny that we're talking about it today. I don't care what you choose to do. I am concerned. And by who I say I am, spiritually, I am concerned if I think that your will's not lining up with the will of God. But today I had a conversation where a professor, a doctor of psychology and political science said to me, folk need to stop being so judgmental and say to folks, I'm going to let you be who you say you are. Doesn't mean I have to agree with who you are. Doesn't mean I have to hang around with you for who you are. But I don't need to have any prejudice because you say you are who you are. What I need to do is clearly state that's not my cup of tea. But if you like it, I love it. Continue to do your thing and not measure you by your performance because you identify with a certain group or a certain style of people, because that's prejudice. Period.
Yeah, I mean, and we're not sitting here passing judgment on anyone. That's not our job. It's definitely not my job as a clinician. But what we have to do is we have to speak and put things in the air that we normally don't say. And for my brother to say, you are what you're born as, or for me to believe what I believe. My brother believe he a penguin and penguins don't pay taxes. We are not passing judgment on anyone. We're talking about the expectations that you go into any relationship with and the anxiety that it may cause you.
Correct.
That's the topic of the show. That's what we're talking about. And we started talking about relationships, aka marriage. Doesn't have to be marriage, any relationship.
Come on, speak on it.
But we are dealing with different ideologies about what it means to be in a connection, a union with someone, be it friendship, be it a relationship, whatever it is. We seem to be distorted in how we believe things are supposed to be.
And the ultimate question is, can we handle the bad times at the same level that we handle the good times? I just finished posting a very spiritual brother, Pastor Mike. And Pastor Mike said, it ceases to amaze me that if I win the lottery, my family says we won the lottery.
Correct.
But if I go bankrupt, my family say you messed up and went bankrupt. Not we, but you. See, success is a we thing. Failure is a me thing. And I can't have you reign with me when I'm sitting on the throne and everything's doing good, but you won't go through no rain and bad weather with me. See, if you can't lose with me, you really can't win with me.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking at this post that we got, and the first sign of trouble, you're not looking for a way out. Well, yeah, that's kind of what we were saying. Right now, we want everything to be cotton candy and confetti.
Come on.
But cotton candy starts out as sugar. Confetti starts out as a whole sheet of paper.
Right.
Work goes into making both.
Mm-hmm.
Work goes into making cotton candy. Work goes into making confetti.
Come on.
Unfortunately, what we're dealing with in today's society is everybody wants, as they say, our rhythm, but they don't want our blues.
Come on.
Everybody wants the sunshine, but as Frankie Beverly say, not the rain.
Come on.
And that's what we have to start looking at when we start talking about, all right, you know what? I don't need a woman in my life. I don't need a man in my life. I don't care about, no, I can do it all by myself. Now, absolutely. Nobody's ever doubted that. But is that the way it's supposed to be? Were you put here on this planet to be alone?
Hold on. You just being here is a result of two individuals who decided not to be alone.
Not to be alone. Exactly. At least for a little
while. Right. You wouldn't be here. If somebody took that philosophy would literally made it that you are in non-existence.
I am at the point where I decided to take this subject today.
Come on.
And challenge everybody to look at yourself. Are your expectations of others unrealistic?
Come on, speak on it.
Are your expectations that you're holding people to expectations you ain't meeting yourself?
Oh, stop. Somewhere in some holy book, it says, judge not that ye be judged in the same manner that you issue out the judgment. See, I just finished telling somebody, I got a friend that when he's winning and he's right, mash the gas. He'll say that, oh, you need to tell them they wrong. You need to give them maximum punishment. But when he's wrong, he wants maximum mercy. I'm like, no, sir, you can't give out maximum punishment. But when you wrong, expect maximum mercy, because the same energy you give should be the same energy you receive. Back to Brother Brown.
But it's not. It's not. When I look at folks and say, are you doing what you're expecting from other people? Now, I had a meeting, and in the meeting, the individuals in the meeting, man, they let me have it. Woo!
Come on.
They let me have it. Now, because I had came up short on a couple of situations that I should have been on top of. Okay. And I sat there in front of them and took it all. I took every criticism. I took every little bit of attitude. I sat there and I took it. And then the next 2 weeks, I rectified everything that wasn't right. Everything I fell short on, I rectified.
Come on.
So now it's my turn. Since we are pointing out shortcomings, guess what? I can't get them to come to a meeting now.
Oh,
I
can tell you. Oh, wait a minute. Not that I can tell you what's wrong with you, but you can't tell me what's wrong with me because ain't nothing wrong with me.
Yeah, well, we are easy to point the finger. And to hold people to standards that we do not hold ourselves to. And I laugh. I laugh.
Hold up. Is that like in the relationship where you yourself have never been to a upscale restaurant where at a bare minimum you walk out with the ticket of $500 But the first time you date somebody that you think's able to take you to a place like that, what you say is you take me here or we don't date at all.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
I asked myself, if I wasn't dating you, could you take yourself there? Oh, let me get myself in big trouble. Because somebody just sent me a
Or would
message
you
said
go
I need
there
to.
if you had to take
Oh,
yourself?
wait a minute. I need to speak on this because I just sent a message. They said, I don't mind getting in trouble. Most folk are fakey jakey with me anyway. So let me get some realness here. Person said, don't take me wrong with what I'm about to say, but I'm really confused with how child support works. Said, since y'all talking about relationships. Said, because here's the deal. He said, I had an individual tell me, well, I have to provide a roof for me and your child. He said, I don't disagree with this, but the question is, if the child wasn't in the equation, would you have to provide a roof for yourself?
That's true.
So he said, when you tell me my money is going to help provide shelter, I have no problem with that. But I think the money should go more for whatever the child needs, because even if the child wasn't in the equation, you still have to put a roof over your head.
And I swear I don't want to, because I like the energy of the podcast, but I got to address that. I have to address that. The whole concept is a double-edged sword.
Right.
Let me explain something to you about child support. Okay, yes. The brother takes a portion of his income, or the woman takes a portion, because I know women that pay child support.
Right, come on.
Take a portion of their income, and they give it to the person that's raising the child.
Come on.
Okay? Yes, you expect when it's given that it is to be used to better the quality of the life of that child. That's what we expect. Remember, we started talking about expectations?
Come on. Speak on.
That is what is expected. If it is not done, should you have the right to be angry or upset that it is not being used the way you think it should be used? I do not believe that. Okay. Now I do this. Now let me show you the other side of that. The other side of that sword.
Come on.
You did not use the income the way I believe you should, and I got to live with that. Okay, fine. Here's the other side. What if I pay you exactly what I'm supposed to, yet I'm still thriving? That makes sometimes that other individual, that's a problem.
Houston?
If I have paid you, don't worry about if I got a new car, or if I'm taking a vacation to Hawaii, or if I'm taking my new girlfriend or my new boyfriend to the Poconos. It does not matter, but it does matter.
Come on.
So now, what I'm thinking we're doing is, I think we may be setting up next week's podcast.
We are. Just that.
That's not. We can talk about that. And too often those things happen. I give you the money. Next thing I know, I see you with a new pair of red bottoms. Well, I hope you taking care of my child. Yeah, well, once I gave you the money, that's for you to do with as you see fit. But now I give you the money, and all of a sudden you walk outside and see me in a new vet. Oh, you got that kind of money?
So hold on. Sister Rhonda just put something down. And she said she just heard a childhood friend committed suicide 2 years ago on his birthday, August the 11th, 2021. Wow. He would have been 69 this month. And we need to recognize.
Rest in power, brother.
Right. Rest in power. Right. And we want to say this. And we need to say this clearly, because this is why we do it. If you feel like you don't have anyone to talk to, there are suicide prevention lines out there. If you don't feel like you have anyone to talk to, you see there's a number at the bottom. You can call that number. Listen, family, you are not alone. We are here. We are here for you. We are here. We do this, and we have some of the most craziest subjects we talk about, but we want to be real, because many a times people avoid the real conversation to try to be sensationalist and get your numbers. You know, we want to talk about something that we know you're going to share. No, we want to talk about something that will save.
The people are going to tune in.
Right. We want to talk about something that will save your life, that will make it that you have a better quality of life. And we understand trying to save a life and trying to give you a better quality of life without a bunch of drama and a bunch of love and hip hop type stuff and a bunch of the Bachelorette type stuff and a bunch of this reality TV, Big Brother type stuff is not popular. But if you listen and you begin to implement the basics of what is being said on these podcasts, you can literally live a better life. I promise you that, because many times I listen to what my brother says and I implement it in my life and I begin to have a better quality of life.
We started this podcast today talking about a young brother that came in to see me, and he was at the end of his rope. He told me that he didn't know where else to go. And someone told him, I've been where you are. And I went down there to Positive Choices, and they helped me. He said he left, and when he came in, I have to admit, this brother was a mess. He was dirty, his feet, he said, I've been walking with no shoes on. I've been really struggling. He said, and coming in here for this hour and a half, I stayed with that brother almost 2 hours. He looked at me, he said, I feel like I can conquer the world after 2 hours with you. What's going to happen with me if I come here every week? What you going to have me thinking? I said, no, what's going to end up happening is right now, you after 2 hours, you feel like you can conquer the world. After 3 sessions, you're going to conquer the world.
Right, that part.
And he smiled and he said, I'll see you next week, brother. I said, if you need me before then, you know where we are.
Because I am my brother's keeper.
I am my brother. And when I see and hear about brothers who transition because of suicide, it literally breaks my heart, because I think, just give me a chance to show you how much life is worth living.
Come on.
Because everything in life changes. Change is the one constant in life. And if you don't think it's the constant, try to sit right where you are and don't move for a week. I mean, don't move. I mean, literally don't move. And I promise you, some things will change.
Amen.
You're going to smell different.
Come on.
You're going to look different.
Come on.
And you're going to feel different.
Yeah, yes, sir.
So you cannot stop change. And my thing is, when we commit and we start talking about people who commit suicide, you kill the possibilities. That's what you take away. You take away the possibilities. You know, you literally could have hit that $1 billion lottery.
Come on.
You literally
but we'll never know. But we'll never know.
We'll never know, because you killed the possibilities. You could have got that job. You could have
been the first in your family. You could have been the first in your family.
The pain could have stopped. The illness could have gone away. You could have feel a lot better than you did. But you took away the possibilities. So as we wrap up this night, talking about how do you deal with the fact that you did everything you can do and it's still not appreciated or received with positivity. This is the solution. You do what you do because it's right, not because you have to. You don't argue with your spouse, not because you can't, but because you just don't want to, and it's not right.
Right. Come on.
And once you start to understand, I cannot be responsible for how you feel about me doing right. If you do right and somebody has a problem with that, that's not on you.
Come on, speak on it.
Okay, we're putting some jewels out here as we wrap up at the end. If you do right by people and they still view you in an unfavorable manner, that's not your problem. It's not your problem. I'm doing constantly the best I can. And I mean that. I'm not lying, and I'm not, okay, I'm doing my best, but I'm really not. I really am doing my best. And it's not enough for you. I can't go down in my feelings for that. I did my best. But too often we put our feelings in other people's hands, and people are not as kind as we all are. People are not as receptive as I am. Thank you for what you did. I saw you doing your best. I appreciate you. Huh? I literally do that even when I go to places like McDonald's.
Come on.
The other day I went to McDonald's, and this young lady at the window was just as rude and as nasty as she could be.
Come on. Speak on it.
And when I went to pay and I handed her my card, when she pulled it, I didn't let go. And she looked. I said, I don't know if anybody else told you today, but you're really, 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 really lucky to have a great job like this. And she looked, and she started looking around. Like, I said, yeah. You remember the day that you applied for this job? You really wanted it, didn't you? Yeah. I said, you got it. You got this job. I said, go ahead. And she took my card, and she had this very perplexed look on her face. And when she ran my card and gave me my card and my receipt, in a very weird kind of way, she went, have a nice day. I said, you too.
Right.
And literally, now, brother, this is the truth. When I drove to the next window to get my French fries, because that's all I was getting.
Come on.
She came from the register, and she was looking like this. And I waved. Now, I could have easily met her negativity.
Right. Match the energy.
With you could have matched the energy. But I didn't.
Right.
I don't know, but I would like to bet for the rest of the day, she was like, thank you for coming. Have a nice day.
Because somewhere in the back of your head, you remembered what I do to the least of them.
Yeah,
what I do unto the least of them. See, man, hold it. I got to hold it. Once again, y'all know this is my show, and we can go as long as we want. We going tonight, family. Listen, family, you got to stop constantly trying to tell folk you a good person and just be a good person. Do
Love
good
is
things.
an action word.
Come
Love
on,
is an action word.
Stop posting how good you are. Stop trying to link up, click up, and everything you do has to be on social media when it comes down to charitable giving. Every time you got to show yourself giving to the homeless, doing this, doing that. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're a politician and that's how you garner votes, you have to do what you got to do. Now, this disclaimer that I'm saying is this ain't for everybody. But if you are a normal, everyday person, and every time I look on your feed, you're trying to convince me that you a good person doing good deeds, you ain't got to do that. Just do good deeds. Long time ago, somebody told me if you're cool and you know it, you don't tell it, you show it. Everybody else catch on sooner or later. So family, what I really want to do is tell y'all this. Listen, we're about to get into the end of the year. Football season is up on us. Be exact, this weekend is my last weekend that I will not be on somebody's sideline. So this is the starting next weekend, I'm on somebody's sideline all the way up, hopefully until the Black National Championship in Atlanta, Georgia. Because I just got a funny feeling these Jaguars, these Southern University Jaguars are going to do something this year. Now, I might be right. I might be wrong. But I believe. I ain't trying to sound like some folks who wear red, white, and blue that in a place called JACKSONMI. Well, I ain't trying to talk like them because they that's their little motto, I believe. But listen, I really do believe. Now, will I might is there a possibility I may get let down? Yeah.
Because I think people need to understand is this coming from a Grambling-ite.
Right.
But when you are honest and you look, I say, I look at the Jags, I'm like, based on talent, based on what we got, we should do really well and win it all. This we should, based on that. Not because I got a degree from there and I bleed blue and gold, but because I'm honest.
Because like he said, I want to see Grambling win. Yeah. However, I'm wearing the shirt that says Tennessee and I live in Louisiana. I want to see my Volunteers win. However, I'm truthful enough to know that on the big side of the BCS, you got some big boys doing some big things. Georgia might three-peat. Yep. LSU might be the fly in the ointment, and you don't know how some of these other teams that you least expect, like an Ohio State, like a Stanford, like a USC, you don't know what they're going to do. You don't even know what people like Prime going to do in Colorado, because at the end of the day, anything can happen on any given Sunday. They did make a movie saying that with Jamie Foxx in it. So Here's what I'm trying to tell y'all. Listen up, family. With that being said, wake up every morning with an expectation. Wake up every morning saying to yourself, I'm going to be better today than I was yesterday. Wake up every morning and say, today I'm going to learn something new today that I know yesterday. And ask yourself, if today is your last day, how you going to leave off this planet? Are you going to leave mumbling or complaining? Are you going to leave saying, I did my best while I was here? And if it's time for me to go, ain't nothing I can do about it but go. And I'm going to go and let go freely. Because family, too many times, what y'all trying to do is y'all trying to equate a blessing to something that's material. And let me tell you something. You go to somebody who got a disease right now and all the money in the world, but none of the money going to cure the disease. They don't care about the money. They care about getting the disease off their back. Correct. So stop looking at folks saying you blessed because you drive this car, you wear these clothes, you live in this house, because that don't equate to a blessing. That just means you were at the right place at the right time and did what you had to do, got your hustle on, be it legal or illegal, to get whatever it is that you needed to get. Stop looking at folks and putting the pressure on them. And understand, if you're really spiritual, you just need to understand that at the end of the day, listen, no good deed goes unblessed or unpunished. No bad deed. Karma is a monster. So be your brother and your sister's keeper. Every once in a while, do something and don't post it. Every once in a while, be a blessing. You ain't got to keep proving to folks who you are. I had a bad habit of doing that. I had to prove to y'all that I was a good radio guy. Guess what? No, I don't. My since 1984, getting on the mic the first time when I was still in high school, working for James Superwolf and his wife, Denise LaSalle, and many of the folks that I have worked for, Bobby OJ, Mr. Thomas at WDIA. Y'all start Googling some stuff and start seeing the folks I used to carry records for and hang around. Let me tell you something. I've been around some big folks. I don't have to post their picture and show you I've been around them. Folk who know me know I've been around them. And better yet, forget the folk. I know I've been around them. And at the end, that's all that matters. So stop being concerned about trying to prove stuff to other folk. Half of y'all in debt, driving cars you can't afford, living in houses that you're barely making the mortgage on, trying to impress folks that don't care about you. Why are you trying to prove to folks who are broke that you ain't broke? With that, let me turn it back over to my brother. Brother, it's on you.
Brother, you know, sometimes you need to just leave things hanging there for people to get the low-hanging fruit. You said a mouthful, brother, so I'm going to only say something like this. Whenever you do something, do it from your heart. Don't do it for the acceptance, the approval of other folks. Do it because you know it's right in your heart, and let that be enough. If you do that, then people will not have control over your thermostat. They will not have control over your emotions and your feelings. You do what you do because it's what you want to do and it's the right thing to do. How people deal with it after that, that's on them. So keeping that in mind, If nobody else told you today, we love you, and we telling you that not so you can tell us back, just so that you know. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.